In this video, I'm going to bridge the gap between the point where you are comfortable jumping a mountain bike and the point where you're ready to do something with all that airtime. I'm not only going to show you how easy it is to do, but I'm going to show you how you can apply it on almost any feature and how it'll really help you flow with the terrain. In this video, I reference a whip, and for the purposes of keeping this video short and to the point, I'm going to assume that you know what a whip is. If not, have a quick conversation with AI or Google and come right back. So hang out with me for just a few minutes and I'll make sense of this. Yo, what is up? Welcome back. Thanks for making it this far. So you've recently learned to jump. You're starting to feel more comfortable in the air. Your tunnel vision is gone. You're no longer stiff. You feel a little bit looser. You have time to think. Enjoy the flight time. Wiggle the fingers. Curl the toes. And you're wondering, now what? What's next? For a lot of people, a whip is the most logical answer. But I'm going to show you why that isn't necessarily the case. Whips can be scary for new jumpers because you have to carve off the lip to do a whip well. And a new jumper has just built a level of confidence. And when you're carving off a lip and you're a little off balance in the air because you've carved off a lip, that can really impact your confidence. In addition, a proper whip, you're sideways in the air. And a lot of folks forget that you then have to bring it back straight before you land. There's nothing scarier than landing sideways and knowing you're not going to pull out of it. So right now we're just trying to protect our confidence. Okay, so what is the move? Well, it's called a tabletop, if you can get it completely flat in the air. I know that's confusing because there are jumps called tabletops. But when you're starting, you don't have to get your bike flat in the air. Any percentage of that will still look cool if you do it smooth. Nowadays too, if you do it well, it kind of crosses that line into a whip. So people may think you're whipping when you're really not committing to the full carve and all those skills to get the bike sideways in the air. What you don't want to do for style in the air after you soon learn to jump is push your front end forward, pull it up, and just generally poke the front end around. Now, there are no rules when it comes to mountain biking, and style is very subjective. But when you start doing the pokey with the front end, it sort of looks like you're off balance and you're trying to fight to regain balance. And because of that, you don't look cool because you don't look in control. And to look good on a bike, you want to look like you're in control, like you know what you're doing. So as you approach the lip of the jump, everything's the same that you learned for your foundational jumping technique. Your heels are down, your knees are over your toes, your shoulders are forward, you're over your bottom bracket, you press into this transition, and as you lift off, okay, you're comfortable now. So you're gonna feel light in the air. You're not gonna feel tense, your muscles aren't gonna feel clenched. That bike's just gonna float up under you, okay? So that's when you know you're absolutely ready to start doing things in the air, is when you're at that point. If you're not at that point, the first thing you wanna do is get to that point. And that just means more jump and more repetition. You'll get there, don't rush it. Because the last thing you want to do again is crash and wreck your confidence. So if you're balanced and loose in the air, the motions to achieve this are super simple. Even though I felt like an absolute goober doing this, I took it out to the lawn to show you. Okay, so remember all of these motions are in conjunction, but I will break them down for you. First things first, let's figure out what side you want to tip your bike over to. Initially, it'll be what you're most comfortable doing, but it's important that you get comfortable doing it both ways because that'll help you flow on the trail, and I'll explain that here in a minute. So now that you know what side is most comfortable for you, scrunch up your side, pull that booty cheek right up to your elbow, pull that elbow back against your side, and really focus on bringing the inside of your forearm and the inside of your wrist up to your pelvic bone. When doing this, you'll notice that it actually pulls the grip across your stomach. Don't pull up on the bars, just let them pull across your stomach. To achieve this, you'll have to have a very loose grip on the bars because your hands will have to roll on the grips to achieve the angles that are needed. Your outside hand or your forward hand especially has to remain very loose. I like to press my knee into the frame. It just helps to lean the bike over and it improves balance. Some people keep their knees out.
Again, there's really no wrong way. As far as your shoulders go, you want to keep your chin and your shoulders forward. Keep that chin over your stem and keep your shoulders pointed in the direction you want to go. When you're more forward, it helps you get out over your bike when you lean it over. You most certainly don't want to push your booty back and just turn the bars. That's not what we're going for here.
Okay, so I've tipped my camera down as far as it'll go to try to show you what goes on between the bars and the hips. Now don't forget, you have to give with this hand over here. If you have to lift the pinky off, you can do that. Extra style points. So when you're doing this, you always want to remember your foundational jumping. Don't give up on that. Here we go. To my hip. To my hip. Keep the knee in. Pull it up to my hip. Pull it to my hip. Kept my knee in.
Let's check this out from some other POVs. Again, I'm just pulling the inside of my forearm, the inside of my wrist to my hip. Notice how the bike naturally tips to the side.
So the reason why it's so important to get comfortable doing this to both sides is because ultimately you want to flow with the trail. So this jump is straight. The approach is straight and you're straight out in the landing. So you could do it either way. However, on this jump, you can see it's a bit of a hip, which means it curves to the right slightly. So for this one, I tip the bike to the right because it kind of helps me match this landing better and it gives you a smoother transition down the landing. So as you'll see here in a second, this one naturally hips to the left, so I would want to lean my bike to the left to match the landing. So the cool thing is, once you've mastered leaning the bike to both sides, it's really going to help you flow through the trails. It's going to really open up the possibilities. So when you get to a certain level of mountain biking, you realize that it really is about flowing through the trails, surfing the dirt, and looking as smooth as possible, because that looks good. It looks like you're in control. It looks like you know what you're doing. The cool thing about being able to lean the bike to both sides is it really opens up possibilities on features, and it'll help you achieve that smooth look, and it'll make you smooth. You're going to ride it better. So for instance, this is a shark fin. Shark fins intimidate a lot of people because you're naturally tipped to the side, and when you go off, you realize you can't land at this angle, right? You can't land at that angle. I mean, you theoretically may be able to, but that's not ideal. So what confuses a lot of people is how to get from this angle to this angle over here and just make it look smooth and in control. And that's where leaning the bike is going to help you tremendously. So we're going to apply that technique coming off of this shark fin. We're going to tip the bike because it's naturally tipping us to the left. We're going to tip the bike to the left. And in doing that, the bike's going to match that angle of the ground, the dirt, the berm. But your body is then going to still remain upright, which is going to be able to match the landing. So let's take a look. Cool thing is you can do this on literally anything, from little jumps to big jumps, shark fins, hips, drops even, whereas the whip, you can't really whip on little tiny jumps very well. And I don't know, has anybody ever seen somebody whip a drop? That'd be pretty sweet though, actually. Now the goal is always the goal is to look smooth and to make it look purposeful. So if you're going there and you're really aggressive, it's too quick, it's not gonna look good, just do a straight air. You don't wanna make it look forced. You don't wanna make it look rushed. Hey, let's see where we can apply this on this jump trail. Let's do it.
As always, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and if you have thoughts about what you saw, leave a comment.